Just when the engineer turned around to catch an idea, a bizarre creature showed up out of nowhere, like an uninvited guest, turning the engineer into a former employee in an instant. Hearing the ruckus, Parker rushed over only to find the alien had ghosted them, leaving a sea of red wine behind, with blood rain pouring down and soaking everyone. After hearing about their teammate's mysterious demise, the remaining crew quickly regrouped, even though Parker didn't catch a glimpse of the monster. However, he noticed that his teammate's body was moved effortlessly, indicating the cosmic heavy weight had built up a lot, leading him to deduce that the alien had squeezed into the vents. The captain then devised a new battle plan. The vents led to the airlock, and there was only one maintenance hatch in between. Time to post a guard at the tiny door. This way, they corner the alien in the airlock and toss it into space. The issue is, the stun guns are useless now it's grown. So Parker quickly whipped up a few flamethrowers, and the crew sprang into action. Next, Ripley and Ash guarded the airlock. Parker and Navigator blocked the hatch, ensuring the monster wouldn't escape. All set. The captain boldly crawled into the vents, determined to hunt the monster down. With only one way through, he called for the doors behind him to seal off every time he progressed. This way, he could push the alien into the airlock, but as the captain searched, the Navigator sounded the alarm. The device in the Navigator's hand had detected the alien's presence. The captain found himself sharing the same section of duct as the creature, sending him into stealth mode as he began probing around with his flamethrower. However, they found absolutely no trace of the alien anywhere. Reluctantly, the captain approached the coordinates, only to find them vanished. Hearing this, the captain tensed up even more, spotting the gooey trails of the alien around him. He knew that thing must be lurking nearby. Realizing the danger, the captain tried to make a hasty exit, but at that moment, the device suddenly picked up the alien's signal again, and it was closing in fast. When Parker arrived at the captain's location, he found the flamethrower on the ground, and there was no blood or bodies around, as if nothing had ever happened. By now, 3 team members had died by the monster, and the crew was visibly panicking. The Navigator was on the brink of collapse, urging everyone to abandon ship and escape in the shuttle. However, the shuttle simply couldn't fit 4 people, and Earth was way too far away. Stuck without the shipment, they could only wait for death. With no better options, Ripley resolved to consult the AI system, Mother, for help. But after asking around, Mother had no clue how to deal with the alien. However, Ripley noticed a new system directive appeared that only scientists could. After the captain's death, Ripley, with the highest clearance on the ship, forcibly accessed this directive and finally learned why the Nostromo's course had changed. It turned out it was to investigate and collect specimens of extraterrestrial life, and this directive had the highest priority. Nothing else was more important than safely bringing back alien samples. Even when necessary, they could send messages. At this point, Ripley finally grasped the truth. Why Ash kept breaking the safety rules, and why the captain supported him despite knowing better. Seeing Ash suddenly appear behind him, a wave of anger surged in Ripley's chest, but he couldn't bear to attack a former comrade, so he decided to turn and leave. However, Ash suddenly slammed the hatch shut, and Ripley had no clue that danger had arrived. He tried to persuade Ash to reopen the door, but Ash clearly looked unhinged, with white stuff oozing from his forehead. Ripley was utterly confused about what was happening. Suddenly, Ash lunged at him, and his strength was insane. As a scientist, he should have been weaker. Watching his once comrade lie motionless on the floor, Ash still wouldn't relent. He rolled up a magazine like a baton and shoved it towards Ripley's mouth. It looked like Ash aimed to wipe Ripley out entirely. Just then, Parker finally caught wind of the ruckus and rushed in to stop Ash. But soon, Parker realized that Ash easily overpowered him. However, it was clear that Ash was in no sane condition and had lost his marbles. Seizing the chance, Parker grabbed a tool and swung it fiercely at Ash. In an instant, Ash reacted as if he had been electrocuted, his body spasming and spewing out white goo. Seeing Ash still aiming to attack, Parker struck again with the tool, and to his shock, Ash's head came clean. Witnessing this horror show, everyone was shocked to discover that Ash was actually a synthetic, and who would have thought he could be taken down that easily. At this point, Parker showed no mercy. Ash lost mobility after relentless attacks. Ripley soon awoke. He immediately began to reconnect Ash's head. Since the company had deliberately concealed Ash's nature as a synthetic, it suggested he had a special mission from the start. Apparently, the company's real goal was to capture the alien, and Ash had been covering for the creature during past missions. With Ripley diligently working on the repairs, Ash's brain was quickly rebooted and restored. At this point, Ripley asked how to kill the alien, only for Ash to declare it was utterly indestructible, the most perfect organism in the universe. As Ash expressed admiration for the alien, Ripley became increasingly agitated. Ultimately, Ripley resolved to use the last resort, blow up the ship and escape in the shuttle. However, before leaving, he burned Ash to ashes. The crew then acted quickly, knowing the ship would explode in 10 minutes after self-destruct. They needed coolant for the shuttle. Ripley hurried to start it, while Parker and the navigator fished as much as they could. However, when they arrived at the storage room, the navigator suddenly spotted the alien lurking there. This was the alien's first full reveal before humanity, and upon seeing its terrifying form, the navigator turned into a statue of shock. Parker hurriedly shouted for the navigator to get out, but obviously, his body was no longer listening. To save his comrade, Parker had no choice but to charge in, but upon contact, he was instantaneously skewered.